You are exhausted. Not just physically tired, but deeply, quietly drained. You wake up, you handle your responsibilities, you solve other people's problems, and you go to sleep. You do exactly what society tells a good man he is supposed to do. You provide, you endure, you say yes. Yet, if you are brutally honest with yourself, there is a hollow echo in your chest, a quiet, persistent unhappiness that you hide from the world. Why? Why does doing everything right feel so completely wrong? The answer is not that you are ungrateful. The answer is that you have been sold a lie. You have been conditioned to believe that your value as a man is measured by how much weight you can carry for other people. But this is a trap, a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you compliant, exhausted, and easily controlled. Today we are going to dismantle this illusion. We are going to expose the destructive burden of constant obligations that is slowly killing your spirit. This knowledge is not for everyone. Most men will scroll past, perfectly content to remain beasts of burden. But if you are still listening, you are among the few who sense the truth. You are ready to reclaim your autonomy. Tell me right now in the comments, what is the one obligation you hate the most, but are too afraid to drop? Let us begin. 22. To understand why you feel this profound sense of emptiness, we must look at the modern landscape. The world we live in today is relentlessly demanding. It does not just ask for your time, it demands your absolute psychological availability. Your phone buzzes with urgent messages. Your employer expects constant connectivity. Your family, your friends, your social circles, everyone wants a piece of your attention. And you, trying to be the strong, reliable man, hand out those pieces willingly. You have been taught that self-sacrifice is the ultimate masculine virtue. You have internalized the idea that to be strong means to never say no, to never show fatigue, and to never put yourself first. But look closely at the men who live this way. They are shadows. They are reactive, jumping from one crisis to the next, entirely dictated by external demands. They have no internal fortress. When you say yes to every obligation, you are not showing strength. You are demonstrating an absolute lack of boundaries. You are proving that you value everyone else's comfort over your own peace of mind. This constant state of owing something to someone creates a massive, invisible emotional debt. It is a debt that slowly crushes your creativity, your ambition, and your capacity for joy. It is time to step out of this context. It is time to redefine what it means to be truly resilient in the modern era. The illusion of the good guy. We must first destroy the myth of the nice guy, the reliable man who never pushes back. You think that by taking on every task, by agreeing to every favor, you are building respect. You believe that people will admire your dedication. But human psychology works entirely differently. When you are always available, your value plummets. Economics teaches us that scarcity creates value, and this applies directly to your time and energy. When you say yes to everything, people do not respect you more, they simply expect more. They begin to view your sacrifices as the baseline standard. You become a utility, a tool to be used. The strong man, the man who commands genuine respect, knows that his time is a premium asset. He does not hand it out to simply avoid an uncomfortable conversation. Understand this. Being respected is vastly superior to being liked. When you stop being the universal problem solver for everyone around you, you might disappoint them initially, but you will immediately command a higher level of authority. This is the first step out of the trap. The currency of time. You treat money with caution. You check your bank account, you invest wisely, you hesitate before making a large purchase. Yet, you treat your time as if it is an infinite resource. It is not. Time is the only currency you can never earn back. Every time you agree to an obligation that does not align with your core purpose, you are bankrupting your own life. Imagine your energy as a fixed amount of gold coins every morning. By noon, you have given 3 coins to a demanding boss, 2 coins to a friend who only complains, and 4 coins to social media outrage. What is left for you? What is left for your physical health, your mental expansion, your true ambitions? Absolutely nothing. You are broke. The elite individual audits his time with ruthless precision. He understands that every yes to someone else is a definitive no to himself. To reclaim your power, you must become incredibly stingy with your attention. Stop giving away your gold to people who only want to spend it on themselves. The burden of emotional debt. Physical exhaustion can be cured by a good night of sleep. Emotional exhaustion is an entirely different beast. When you carry the weight of constant obligations, you are accumulating emotional debt. You are carrying the anxiety of your co-workers, the expectations of your family, and the artificial urgency of modern society. This weight sits on your shoulders, tightens your chest, and clouds your mind. It is the reason you feel a sudden wave of dread when your phone rings. You are not afraid of the person. You are afraid of the new obligation they are about to place upon you. To break free, you must realize that you are not responsible for other people's emotional regulation. You cannot fix everyone. You cannot save everyone. And trying to do so is an act of sheer arrogance. The Stoic mindset demands that you separate what is yours to carry from what belongs to others. Let them carry their own weight. Your only duty is to maintain the structural integrity of your own mind. Duty versus servitude. There is a profound difference between honourable duty and mindless servitude, though society actively tries to blur the line. Duty is a conscious choice. It is a responsibility you willingly accept because it aligns with your highest values. Providing for your children, protecting your home, maintaining your honour, these are duties. They require sacrifice, but they bring deep fulfilment. Servitude, on the other hand, is reactive. It is taking on tasks out of guilt, fear, or a desperate need for external validation. It is staying late at a toxic job because you are afraid of confrontation. It is attending social events you despise because you fear being judged. Servitude drains your soul. Duty fortifies it. The man of high intellectual caliber constantly interrogates his actions. He asks himself, am I doing this because I chose to, or because I am afraid of what happens if I refuse? Shifting your life from servitude back to conscious duty is the mechanism by which you regain your masculine power. The fear of disappointing others. This is the invisible chain that holds 99% of men in place, the absolute terror of being perceived as selfish. You have been wired to avoid conflict, to keep the peace at all costs. When someone asks something of you, your brain immediately calculates the social cost of saying no. You imagine their frown, their sigh, their silent judgment. So you fold. You sacrifice your own peace to preserve theirs. But here is the brutal truth that only the top 1% understand. You must become comfortable with disappointing people. You must learn to look someone in the eye, witness their disappointment, and remain entirely unbothered. Their emotional reaction is not your responsibility. When you stop fearing their disapproval, they lose all power over you. The elite man treats social disapproval not as a threat, but as an unavoidable tax on his personal freedom. Pay the tax, endure the momentary discomfort, and walk away with your peace intact. The myth of multitasking. Your life. Modern culture glorifies the hustler, the man who is juggling 20 different responsibilities at once. We are told that busy equals important. This is a massive deception. When your mind is fractured into a dozen different obligations, you achieve nothing of real significance. You are merely surviving, treading water in a sea of mediocrity. True excellence requires deep, uninterrupted focus. It requires periods of profound isolation and singular purpose. The men who shape the world, the men who possess real power, do not multitask. They aggressively eliminate the non-essential. They strip away the noise until only the vital remains. If you are constantly overwhelmed, it is not because you are important. It is because you lack discipline. You lack the discipline to cut the fat from your life. The Stoic approach is not to do more, but to do less, with absolute mastery. Stop taking pride in your crowded schedule. It is a symptom of weakness, not strength. Silent resentment. When you accept obligations out of weakness rather than strength, a poison begins to brew inside you. This poison is resentment. You smile, you agree, you do the work, but internally you are boiling. You begin to secretly hate the people you are helping. You resent your boss, you resent your partner, you resent your friends. But here is the harsh reality. Your resentment is misplaced. You should not be angry at them for asking. You should be angry at yourself for accepting. They are simply acting in their own self-interest, which is human nature. You, however, failed to protect your own perimeter. Resentment is the emotional penalty for cowardice. It is the price you pay for not having the spine to set a boundary. To cure this secret unhappiness, you must take absolute ownership of your situation. No one is forcing you to carry this burden. You volunteered for it through your silence. Speak up, draw the line, and watch the resentment evaporate. Reclaiming the word. No, it is a two-letter word, yet it is the most powerful weapon in your psychological arsenal. The word no is a complete sentence. It requires no justification, no apology, and no elaborate excuse. Weak men wrap their refusals in long, apologetic explanations. They negotiate against themselves. They say, "I would love to, but I'm just so busy right now, maybe next week." This invites debate. It leaves the door open for further demands. The strong man delivers a no with calm, unwavering finality. He says, "No, I will not be able to do that." He pauses. He lets the silence hang in the air. He does not rush to fill the void with comfort. Mastering this word is akin to building a titanium wall around your mind. It signals to the world that you are a sovereign individual, not a public resource. The more you use it, the easier it becomes. Start small. Deny a minor request today. Feel the initial spike of anxiety, let it pass, and then enjoy the massive surge of power that follows. The architecture of boundaries. A life without boundaries is a city without walls, waiting to be plundered by every passing stranger. You cannot achieve emotional stability if you are constantly being invaded. Establishing boundaries is not an act of aggression. It is an act of necessary self-preservation. Boundaries dictate how people are allowed to treat you, when they are allowed to access you, and what behaviors you will absolutely not tolerate. But setting a boundary is only 10% of the work. The remaining 90% is enforcement. A boundary without enforcement is just a suggestion. When someone crosses your line, there must be a consequence. You must be willing to walk away, to end a conversation, to remove your presence. This requires a terrifying level of self-respect. It means you must value your own tranquility more than you value the relationship with the person violating it. The moment you prove that you will defend your borders, the invasions will cease. The price of availability. We live in an era where you are expected to be reachable at all hours of the day and night. Your pocket vibrates, and you are expected to respond like a well-trained dog. This instant availability destroys your psychological autonomy. It keeps you in a perpetual state of readiness, a low-level fight-or-flight mode that drains your adrenal system. To become a man of elite mental fortitude, you must intentionally make yourself less available. Turn off the notifications, leave the phone in another room. Do not respond to non-urgent messages immediately. Create an artificial delay. Let people realize that your attention is not on demand. When you control your availability, you control your reality. You send a powerful subconscious message to yourself and to others. My time belongs to me. I dictate the rhythm of my life. This simple act of disconnecting is a profound rebellion against the modern culture of exhaustion. Artificial urgency. Most of the obligations that cause you stress are wrapped in a false sense of urgency. People will present their lack of planning as your immediate emergency. They use words like right now, critical, and ASAP to trigger your anxiety and bypass your logical defenses. The Stoic mind recognizes this manipulation instantly. When confronted with sudden demands, the elite man hits the brakes. He does not react. He steps back, assesses the situation objectively, and asks, is this actually an emergency, or is it just an inconvenience for someone else? 99 times out of 100, it is the latter. Let fires burn. Let people scramble. It is not your job to be the universal firefighter. By refusing to absorb other people's panic, you maintain your emotional baseline. You remain the calm center in the storm. This deliberate slowness in the face of pressure is the hallmark of true masculine authority. The guilt trap. Society weaponizes guilt to keep men in line. If you prioritize your gym session over helping a neighbor move, you are called selfish. If you prioritize your mental health over an endless family gathering, you are called cold. Guilt is a parasite that feeds on your desire to be perceived as a good person. But you must understand the mechanics of guilt. It is an entirely internal mechanism triggered by external manipulation. No one can make you feel guilty without your subconscious consent. You must rewrite the code in your brain. Reprogram yourself to see self-preservation not as a sin, but as a biological imperative. If a plane is going down, you put your own oxygen mask on first. Your life is the plane. If you do not secure your own oxygen, your peace, your time, your sanity, you will suffocate. And a suffocated man is of absolutely no use to anyone. Shed the guilt. It is a useless emotion designed for the weak. Identifying energy vampires. Take a harsh, objective look at the people in your life. You will find that a significant portion of your obligations stem from a specific type of person, the energy vampire. These are individuals who never contribute, but constantly extract. They are always in crisis. They always need a favor. They use your stoicism and reliability as a bursting ground for their chaos. You cannot rationalize with these people. You cannot fix them. The only effective strategy is quarantine. You must ruthlessly cut off their access to your energy supply. This sounds harsh, but elite mental health requires brutal decisions. You are the CEO of your own life. If an employee was actively destroying your company, you would fire them. Apply the same logic to your social circle. Sever the ties that drain you. The peace you will feel when you finally drop these dead weights will be instantaneous and profound. The power of intentional isolation. In a world of constant connection, solitude is the ultimate luxury. Yet, most men fear being alone with their own thoughts. They fill the silence with podcasts, music, and endless social interactions. But true strength is forged in the quiet. Intentional isolation is the laboratory where you deconstruct your mind and rebuild it. It is where you process the heavy burdens and decide which ones to drop. You need designated periods of absolute zero obligation. No phone, no friends, no partner. Just you and reality. During these times, your nervous system resets, the noise fades, and the voice of your true intuition becomes clear. This is not loneliness, this is sovereignty. Make isolation a non-negotiable part of your weekly routine. It is the armor you put on before returning to the battlefield of society. The man who is comfortable in the silence cannot be manipulated by the noise. Redefining loyalty. You have a distorted definition of loyalty. You think loyalty means blind obedience, infinite patience, and never walking away, regardless of how much you are abused or taken for granted. This is a slave's definition of loyalty. The superior man defines loyalty differently. True loyalty is based on mutual respect, reciprocal value, and shared standards. It is conditional. Yes, conditional. If an employer demands your soul for a mediocre paycheck, walking away is not disloyalty, it is self-respect. If a friend constantly violates your boundaries, cutting them off is not betrayal, it is self-defense. You owe your absolute, unwavering loyalty to one entity first and foremost, your own potential. If any external obligation is actively destroying your potential, it must be eliminated. Realign your loyalties. Stop being loyal to your chains and start being loyal to your freedom. The Stoic filtered for modern problems. The ancient philosophers understood something that we have forgotten. Most of what happens around us is entirely outside of our control. Your secret unhappiness stems from trying to control everything. You try to manage other people's opinions of you. You try to control the outcome of every project. You try to prevent any minor disaster from occurring. This is a profound waste of cognitive bandwidth. The elite mind uses a strict filter. When a new obligation arises, ask one question. Is this within my absolute control? If the answer is no, drop it instantly. Let the chips fall where they may. If a coworker drops a project, let it crash. If someone misunderstands your boundaries, let them be angry. You must cultivate a powerful sense of indifference toward everything outside your immediate sphere of influence. This indifference is not apathy. It is strategic allocation of energy. Care deeply about what matters, and give absolutely zero thought to the rest. Embracing the discomfort of disapproval. When you start shedding obligations, the world will push back. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will become angry. They will call you changed. They will say you are arrogant. This is the crucible. This is the moment where average men break and revert to their old, compliant ways. You must stand firm. You must learn to sit in the discomfort of their disapproval and smile. Let them whisper. Let them judge. Their judgment is the sound of your chains breaking. You are stepping out of the herd, and the herd always despises the one who escapes. Do not argue with them. Do not explain your new philosophy. Explanations are requests for permission, and you do not need their permission to own your life. Remain silent, remain immovable, and let their anger burn itself out against the titanium walls of your new reality. The pivot to internal validation. Your exhaustion is fueled by a desperate need for external validation. You take on burdens because you want to be called a good man, a hard worker, a reliable friend. You are outsourcing your self-worth to the opinions of others. This is a pathetic way to live. The foundation of true Stoic power is internal validation. You must define your own code, your own standards, and your own metrics for success. When you look in the mirror at the end of the day, yours is the only judgment that matters. Did you hold your boundaries? Did you protect your energy? Did you act with integrity according to your own rules? If the answer is yes, then the applause or the booing of the crowd is entirely irrelevant. When you cut the cord of external validation, obligations lose their gravitational pull. You become untouchable, driven only by your internal compass. Designing a life of chosen burdens. Removing the destructive obligations does not mean living a life of zero responsibility. A life without any burden is meaningless and hollow. The goal is not to float through life doing nothing. The goal is to carefully, deliberately select the burdens you carry. You want to carry the weight of a purpose you deeply believe in. You want to carry the responsibility of a family you love, a business you are building, a physical body you are forging. These are heavy loads, but they are chosen loads. They do not crush you. They strengthen you. They build muscle. The difference between the secret unhappiness of the average man and the profound fulfillment of the elite man is the element of choice. Take control of the selection process. Audit every weight on your shoulders. Keep the iron that makes you stronger, and ruthlessly discard the garbage that merely weighs you down. The ultimate freedom of indifference. We arrive at the highest level of psychological mastery. It is the state of powerful, calculated indifference. It is walking through a chaotic world, surrounded by demanding people, artificial emergencies and endless noise, and remaining utterly unshakable. You no longer react, you observe, you decide, you move at your own pace. The obligations that once paralyzed you now seem incredibly small and insignificant. You realize that the world will not end if you say no. You realize that you hold the ultimate power over your own existence. This secret unhappiness you felt, it was simply the pain of your potential being suffocated by compliance. Now, you breathe freely. You have stopped being a supporting character in everyone else's drama, and you have taken your rightful place as the author of your own life. The chains are gone. The burden is lifted. The path is clear. It is time to walk it. The truth is out. The secret unhappiness that has been haunting you is not a chemical imbalance or a lack of motivation. It was the predictable result of carrying a world of obligations that were never yours to bear. Society demanded your submission, and for a long time, you paid the price in silent exhaustion. But that era ends today. You have been given the blueprint to deconstruct the traps of guilt, artificial urgency, and the myth of the good guy. The power to say no, the architecture of boundaries, and the courage to endure the disapproval of the weak, these are now your tools. You are no longer part of the 99% who sacrifice their sanity for applause. You are stepping into the ranks of the elite, the few who dictate the terms of their own existence. Master your time. Protect your energy with ruthless precision. Choose your burdens carefully, and let the rest of the world handle its own chaos. If you have made it this far, you are ready to implement this philosophy. I want you to drop one useless obligation today. Just one. Feel the discomfort, and then feel the immense freedom that follows. Thank you for standing with those who seek true intellectual and emotional superiority. Hit the subscribe button to stay connected to this caliber of knowledge. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what is the first boundary you are going to enforce after watching this video? Stay strong, remain indifferent to the noise, and take your life back.